Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Consciously change your environment. Now, this is bigger than just dealing with women, and this is bigger than just being in an environment to get women. This is just some pure manhood stuff. Let me just be clear on that. Sometimes a man needs to change his environment. And when I say environment, everything starting from just his eternal environment to his external environment. That's maybe just his clothing. Well, starting with his health, what he's putting into his body, his clothing, but then expanding that. What if I always say all men have a boundary? All men are really the alpha of their world. And you have 100% control over your boundary. So when we say consciously change your environment, that means consciously change the area around you. Like you start with yourself, but you gradually expand that. And it could come down to when you expand in your environment, it could come down to you moving out of that room to an apartment, to a condo, to a house, to a big piece of land. Everything around you, consciously controlling like that, how you move. Remember, think of it like this. You have this boundary. Your personal boundary typically extends 3 feet out from you. That's your personal one. But you want to expand that. You want to try to have as much control over your life as possible. As much as possible. And what you can't control, you want to have leverage over. So when we're talking about your environment, okay, like I said, it starts with your internal self. What are you putting into your body? You got 100% control over it. Let me say it again. You have 100% control over what you putting into your body. Nobody's forcing you to eat anything. Nobody's enforcing you to ingest drugs or alcohol. No one. You have control. If you put those things in your body, then that's on you. You have to take responsibility for that. And then your external environment, that goes from, how you working out, how you exercising, what kind of clothes you're wearing, and then, your demeanor, how you carrying yourself. How you walking through the world, how you moving through the world. You moving through with authority, or you moving through like other people control you. That's your environment. And then where you live. Wherever you live, and I've said this several times, and you know what? It's going to be one of those things I say constantly. Where you live, you need to have control over your immediate environment. Even if you living in a house with other people, with roommates, you got control over your room. What are you putting in there? What type of objects you have in there? How clean do you keep it? Oh, all these things matter. All these things matter. That's your space. And you have 100% control over how that space is organized. And if you don't have 100% control, well, then you need to be working on it. Or at the very minimum, I'm saying at the very minimum, leverage, which you can get what you want out of the situation. What you want out of the situation. You want it on your terms. Like even if you're staying in a rooming house or an apartment, your space right there. First of all, you got leverage because you paying someone. All right, that's your leverage. All right, but then you got control over how you want to decorate it. To the greatest extent. But then if you even want to have even more control, well, you got to look at that home. That property and everything, And even, I'm going to tell you what, and I have to look, the information is hidden. I was told that there's a way of getting some property without paying property taxes. But that was years ago, and it's hard to find the information. If somebody knows, hey, share it in the comments. Because it's a bunch of stuff. But you gotta look for it. But even before you even get to that point, you still got some leverage. You still got some control. That's your environment. That's your environment, your boundary. And that you have 100% control. Now, if you allow others to violate that boundary and everything, that's on you. You need to defend it. You know, even the women that you allow to come in your boundary. You know, I'm seeing a lot of guys out here acting like, you know, it's like, why the women doing this? They controlling this. They don't control you. They got zero control over you and your boundary. Because if a woman crosses your boundary, it's only because she has permission to do so, not because she wants to. And trust me, women by nature cross boundaries like they don't care anyway. They like butterflies. But it's up to you to say, sometimes you got to look at them and say, hold up, babe. Nah. You can't go there. You can't do this. You can't come to me like that. And remember what I said about a vibe. Sometimes you got to give off that vibe like, hey, if you ain't down for me, keep it moving. Keep it moving. You know? That's how strong you got to like say it. Indeed, for the women watching this, you want to vibe. If you want to be in that man's boundary, he'll protect you. He won't put his hand on you. For the women watching this. That's how powerful it is. But it's still that man's choice. Now, I say consciously change your environment. If you don't like something about yourself, you don't like your living situation, you don't like even, you know, the neighborhood you live in, the city you live in, the region you live in, even the country you live in, well, it's up to you to change it instead of complaining about it, because you got control over it. You got 100% control over yourself and where you want to be. You have it. And see, that's very important. You got to consciously do that. You got to think it. You can't just be flowing along, because you got too many men out here just flowing along. The very nature of a man is to be the alpha of his world. That's why, like I said, and I said this before, that's why I don't get into those terms as far as, I don't get into those terms about as far as who's getting sex and all of that. Now, I know plenty of dudes who do, and that's cool. I respect that. I'm saying from Rom Wills' point of view, every man is the alpha of his world. And if he's not of his world, I don't care who the guy is. I don't care who he is. I don't care how much pussy he getting or not getting or whatever. He got control over his world. He got control over his immediate self and environment. And he got to be the master of that joint. He got to be, let's go beyond the alpha. He got to be the God of that universe. Let me say it again, the God of that universe. And every man can do that. So if you don't like your environment, if you don't like your boundary, you don't like something within it, then you consciously change that. You consciously change that. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know, men gotta, look, let me tell you something now. Yes, I'm known for talking about man gets women and stuff. But if anybody really read my books, anybody really listen to me, my main thing is sovereignty, control over your life. And many men need to do that. Many men need to do that. You know, because we'll have a different world if many men just do that. Because see, I'm gonna tell y'all something now. Let me bring women into the equation, because you get a lot of men out here complaining about the women doing this and that. The women, they can't do certain things if you set up your boundary correctly. You control your environment. They gotta deal with you on your terms. They want to come into your boundary, into your environment. Oh, well, nah, they need to come correct. If they are not correct, then they can't come in. Once you get a critical mass of men who understand that, all this stuff out here changes. All this stuff out here changes. And let me be clear on that, because you know what? I had somebody hit me up and say, well, I don't go in on women and all of that. I was like, because you can't control them. You can control yourself. Once you control yourself, the women have to deal with you on your terms. That's why I focus just on the men building themselves. Because once you realize that power, things change. That's why you get situations where women, they will treat one group of men a certain way. they'll be disrespectful and everything and laugh at them. The other men, they like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, daddy. Anytime, daddy. Here's your plate, daddy. It's just that simple. And the greatest power in that is more than just simply getting women. It's having some control over your life. All right? And I know what I talk about. I told you I don't work for anybody. Hey, somebody hit me up and say, hey, you got a 9 to 5? No. No, I work for myself. I don't work for another human being. Even when I'm doing stuff on different platforms, it's because I want to. I could stop posting on YouTube like tomorrow. And I'm good. I got other stuff. So I got leverage. Boom. So whatever you can't control outright, you get some leverage with. So I want y'all to take in consideration. All men need to take in consideration what I just said. All men need to know that they the God of their universe. And if you don't like something about it, you don't like something about your environment, you have to consciously change it. I want y'all to think on that, all right? And I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.